Hello everyone, hope you all are doing well. This is Paramita and I welcome you to my channel Paramita PM. If you are new to my channel, then I would request you to visit my page, go through the content, and if you really find my lectures helpful, then do like it, share it, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel. And please remember that you should always turn on the notification button so that you do not miss any update. So now, without any further ado, let's get into the lecture. Hello viewers, welcome to my channel once again. Today in this video, I shall be analyzing the concept of intertextuality. What is intertextuality? The term intertextuality was coined by Julia Kristeva in the late 1960s, most probably in the year 1966. If we're trying to define intertextuality, then we can say that it shapes the meaning of a text by utilizing another text. In fact, there are several intertextual figures that include parody, allusion, quotation, cluck, translation, pastiche, and so on. Basically, intertextuality is a literary device that tries to establish an interconnection or an interrelationship between texts and generates related understanding in separate works. It maintains that a text cannot exist as a single identity or a singular identity. Therefore, it cannot exist as a self sufficient whole, and therefore, it never functions as a closed system, which means that texts can never be isolated personages, meaning that texts are always dependent on other texts, and we can only derive the meaning of a particular text in relation to other texts. So, it is another form of communication between the reader and the author, in a sense or in a way that when both the reader and the author have a common understanding of a text, it develops a form of communication between them. If a reader is able to identify the texts that have influenced the author, then it becomes easier for a reader to understand how those texts have been employed by the author in his text or in his work in order to convey certain meanings. Intertextuality makes a text open to new interpretations by incorporating another context, idea, and story into the immediate text. It means that a text can never have a fixed meaning. The reader is actually free to trace the relations between different texts. When a different context or a different idea or a story is incorporated into another text, then it makes the text open to various interpretations that a reader may come up with after analyzing the context or the idea that has been included into the immediate text. Therefore, we can say that the will of the author is not capable of fixing meaning. A text can never have a confined meaning, or a text can never have a fixed meaning, because it is intertextuality that allows readers to come up with their own analysis, to come up with new interpretations once they are able to identify the other texts that have been or the other texts that have been employed or used by the author. It helps in comprehending how the author has been influenced by other literary works, like I said. Of course, intertextuality denotes the fact that it requires knowledge, much knowledge on the part of the reader to identify the literary works that have influenced the author while composing his own work. And it also allows the reader to understand how these works, how ideas have been borrowed from the other texts by the author in order to construct a different meaning and convey it to the reader. Therefore, we can say that intertextuality establishes interconnections, like I said before, or interrelationships between similar or related texts. It is not necessary that always that the ideas that have been borrowed from other texts would be similar to the one that the author is writing, or both the texts would be similar in content. It may be similar or it may be related texts. So these references, when we refer to other texts in order to decipher the meaning of a particular text, it adds layers of depth to a text. It also helps readers to understand the content of the text in depth. And of course, it is based, or it is entirely based on the reader's prior knowledge and understanding, because without this prior knowledge or without this prior understanding, it is not possible for any reader to to draw references or to try to analyze the meaning of a text in relation to other texts. So like I said, the reader requires to have a good deal of knowledge when it comes to intertextuality. Intertextuality helps in establishing this relation between different texts using several intertextual figures like parody, homage. If the author wants to pay, homage, or if he wants to pay honor to some other reader, he can simply use his text or refer to him directly in his text, and that would immediately allude to the author, to whom he is trying to pay homage in his own text. It causes independence of the reader by not remaining confined to the meaning intended by the author, which is a very important aspect of intertextuality, as it makes a text open to various interpretations. Therefore, it makes the reader quite independent in coming up with his or her own interpretations or analysis, therefore allowing them to be free from the fixed meaning, or allowing the reader to be free of just not remaining confined to the meaning that is intended by the author. So that is why I say that there is no fixed meaning, and this actually liberates the reader, and it also results in the lessening of the importance of the author, or it also results in sometimes in the death of the author, because it allows the reader to produce the meaning of a text. It's not that whatever meaning is intended by the author in his text, a reader would always stick to that. No, it is not like that. But intertextuality allows, it gives that freedom to a reader, to come up with his own meaning of a text, or to produce the meaning of a text. According to Julia Kristeva, we cannot consider the authors to be original. We cannot say that the authors always create anything from their original minds. Rather, she puts emphasis on the fact that A text is a compilation of an assortment of quotations, and therefore it is an assimilation and makeover of another text, by which she means to say that the author doesn't create anything new out of nothing. He always compiles from the already existing texts. And that is why she says that the authors can never be considered original. We cannot say that their work is completely an original product. For her, text is basically a permutation of texts, and they are not isolated personages. Like I said, that text can never survive or cannot exist as a self sufficient whole or as a single independent entity. They are rather culturally fashioned discourses. Why? It is because an author, when he refers to other texts and when he borrows ideas from other texts, which may belong to different cultures, so his text also gets influenced by other cultural ideas. Intertextuality can be very well related to the death of the author and birth of the reader. Birth of the reader, because, like I said, it gives freedom, independence to the reader. It liberates the reader from the fixed meaning of the text. And like Roller Birth has already said, or he has already talked about the death of the author, saying that a text always derives its meaning not from the author, rather through its relation to other texts. So, therefore, a text can never have its own meaning. It is always dependent on other texts in order to create or construct its own meaning. And this meaning results from the play of texts. Now, how does it work? Text becomes the plaything of readers. This is because it becomes a plaything for readers because when a reader goes through a text, he can not only refer to the texts that have been employed or that have been used by the author in his work, but there can be accidental or there can be, accidental intertextuality as well. The reader may be able to draw a similarity between the immediate text and some other text that has not at all been mentioned in the very text, in this very text. So that is why a text becomes a plaything of readers. And a text cannot exist as a single independent entity, like I already mentioned, that it is always dependent on other texts, and therefore its meaning is also dependent on other texts. So it can never have an independent existence and it can never have an independent interpretation or an independent meaning. Another important aspect of intertextuality is that it helps in understanding the dynamics of creativity. When an author engages himself with other discourses while compiling a text, it naturally points out the dynamics of creativity. Because if a writer is able to borrow ideas from more than two different texts and compile them properly in his work, then it naturally highlights the creative aspect of the author. And so, the interpretation of a text in that sense becomes a skillful intervention into historical, cultural, social, and institutional realms. Why? Because the author derives ideas from different histories, cultures, and social and institutional realms, and that contributes to the creative aspect of the work, and it also contributes to the creativity of the author. Singularity of a text is an illusory concept. Yes, it is. If we think that a text can exist on its own, then it is completely an illusion. Because, like I said, there cannot be any independent interpretation. A text always derives its meaning in relation to other ideas that already existed, in relation to other texts that already existed. So, therefore, I would repeat the same thing, saying that texts have no independent meaning, no independent text can exist, and therefore there can never be any independent interpretation. In fact, a text always results from its social or cultural textuality, which serves as its backdrop. And this implies that a text can never be separated, it can never be detached from its social context or from its cultural context, because it provides the text with its backdrop. And thus, therefore, the social text and the literary text are inseparably knit together. So we can say that intertextuality is both reader and author centered, because it not only gives a reader independence, freedom, it not only allows readers to come up with his or her own analysis or interpretations, but at the same time, it also allows an author, to incorporate different ideas belonging to different cultures in order to convey certain meanings to the readers. So we cannot say that it is entirely reader based, but it is both reader and author centered. Therefore, in conclusion, it can be said that intertextuality not just helps in shaping the meaning of a text by utilizing another text or by referring to another text, but the interconnection or the relationship that it establishes between similar or related texts. It helps a reader in his interpretation of the text. In fact, it influences a reader much while interpreting the text, and also adds to the creativity of the author. But still, before I end, I would like to point out that even intertextuality is not devoid of any is not devoid of its disadvantage. But the only disadvantage that it has is that it really requires specialist knowledge or profound knowledge on the part of a reader in order to make intertextuality or function, or in order to make intertextual connections. Because if the reader doesn't have any prior knowledge, then he or she would not be successful in making intertextual connections and would not be able to have an in depth understanding of the text. So, with this, I come to the end of discussion on intertextuality. I hope you like the lecture helpful and comprehensible. So, if you like it and you really find it helpful, then do like it, share it, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Until then, bye bye, and thank you so much for watching.